Welcome back, friends, to the Collectives Conversation. It's been a bit of a time since we last talked. And again, I have my beautiful wife at the couch with me this time, not the table. We've spent the last year, really, I think it's been exactly a year, sort of processing on the podcast the season that was the Collectives. And so today we want to talk about, and not the end of it, we discussed that in the last episode, but what we are doing kind of now after burnout and how we recovered. So Welcome to the table.
Thanks.
The couch. Whatever we're on.
I think it's the couch.
Yeah. So we set out about a year ago to, as we got healthy, and we being mostly me, talk about the collectives, about the church plant, about the season that was even before that. This is something we call 30 Below.
Yeah.
And we kind of I have made very clear, social media, we've made it clear through this podcast, that when we stepped away May of 24, we believed that God was opening a new door. There was an opportunity we thought was going to come to pass. But in all truth, I was not at a place to walk into that.
Yeah.
Was walking through burnout. I wouldn't have called it then burnout. I would have called it tired.
Tired that lasted for a year.
Well, yeah, at least a year.
Tired that a good vacation or a cruise could not fix. Not that kind of tired. It helped, but it was not that kind of tired.
And we could use another one. So
Absolutely.
If our friends are listening, would like to contribute or
yes,
fund that, we would love another cruise. But I think that's burnout is, for me, my understanding now of it, both from a book understanding and then a life understanding, it was almost like a soul tired.
Yeah.
It was a tired that you can't explain to somebody, other than to say it's like my soul is tired.
Yeah.
And I use soul in the sense that the biblical sense of soul is like the whole of who we are, the essence of who we are, the mind, the body, the all the spiritual aspects tied together into one sort of personhood of who we are. And it was all of me was tired no matter what I did.
Yeah, it didn't matter the amount of sleep, the amount of time out of town. It didn't matter.
No, it didn't. And so now we've spent a year and a half. That was May of 2024. We're now at January of 26.
Mm-hmm.
I preached once in that time. A friend of ours invited us to
September of 24.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
They're in Maryville, outside
Mm-hmm.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Went up there. I preached a message I had preached probably 3 or 4 times. And I remember thinking and maybe even saying to you, I'm not really sure what might come out of my mouth.
Yes, I felt very on guard that day for what you might say. Made sure I sat in your eye line so I could catch you if you were going off the rails. That was my plan for that day.
Yeah, I think with burnout, there's just, I think the filter is gone. Like, it's not like you're suddenly this person who cusses on the regular. Just I just mean, like, seriously, like the filter that is in place in who you are has just literally been set on fire, and it's not there sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, when it's the same concept when you're bleeding, you're gonna bleed all over people, and that's what's happening with burnout. Is that I guess maybe you're burning, so you're gonna burn all over. Doesn't really matter what's happening. You have almost an incapability of filtering thoughts, emotions. It's almost an incapability.
We talk about it now, and we can talk about it kind of healthily now. One of the signs early on of my burnout was my inability to make even simple decisions. Where to go for dinner, just simple things I couldn't make. So we were in the middle of a church and having, if you were with us in the church, we went to Sunday morning. When we planted, we were Sunday night. We had this great experience. We got a building. We went to Sunday morning. That was terrible. We thought going to Sunday night would fix it. I remember even trying to make that decision felt impossible. It felt like I was going to offend somebody and somebody was going to be mad at me.
That's what I think is also probably maybe a precursor, is that you spend all of your time trying to decide which set of people you're going to make happy. Are you going to make this set, make that set? Who gets the decision? It's probably a precursor to that indecision.
Right. And I don't know that it was simply... Burnout's not simply a physical fatigue.
No.
It's not simply like you're going hard and burning the candle at both ends and you need a physical recovery. I think it's way more emotional. It's way more spiritual than we talk about.
It's definitely way more spiritual than we talk about. Way more.
And it's just a complete fatigue of your being.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was part of the reason it was a large part of the reason we stepped away in May of 24. And so let's talk to people about what we did after that. How did we get through it? Because I had to get through it from my stance of being the one who was burning out. I know you had some of it,
mm-hmm.
but you had to kind of walk through it with me as the person holding me up at times and shutting me down at other times. I mean, because there was no filter.
No filter.
There were conversations we would be in, and you would hit me because I was saying too much.
True.
Yeah.
And sometimes in the wrong crowd. Going into it, just pastoring in general, and just you and I in general, we have a pretty small, select group of people who get unfiltered us anyway. But during that season, there were, outside of your counselor, there were maybe 3 people that it was okay for you to be honest with.
I think 3's a lot.
That's probably true.
I mean, there was one couple that sat with us at the table several times.
Right.
And they probably got the most vulnerable, honest version of that. And 2 other friends got pieces of the story.
Right. But I think what's funny about it is that you, the person maybe experiencing it, thinks they're doing a great job at hiding it.
Sure.
And the truth is that you are in fact doing a terrible job. People may not know what it is, but they know something is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if there was a resounding comment over and over that came, is you just don't seem yourself.
Yeah, you're not yourself. Are you feeling okay? You're not yourself.
Yeah.
And your response was,
I'm tired. I'm just tired. It was, and I was.
Right.
It was not a lie. We had come through a lot of things, and we've documented that here in the podcast before. From transition in the church to Avery's accident to all the things that led us here. But I would not have said when we walked away that I was burned out. That feels like a failure. And I think that was part of the mental war I had to win. That it wasn't that I had failed, but it just is I didn't lead in a way that was healthy for me.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people, maybe in church spaces and maybe in other spaces too, and probably is walking through what we've walked through and looking back on it. I think it is what leads people. Burnout is what can lead people to moral failures.
Yeah.
Such as drug and alcohol addiction, affairs, etc., because there becomes almost a detachment of who you are and what you do. And those become detached and muddy, and you're trying to deal with the emotion on one end so you can get and be before people and not let them know you're dealing with that. So you become this dual person.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought before the season that you can get up and for 25 or 30 minutes preach a message and be in the state I was in.
Right.
But
you can.
Yes, a lot of it's muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
You get up, you do the things, you tell 2-3 jokes at the introduction, you read your scripture, you unpack 3 or 4 points, you give a conclusion, and you walk off the stage. And you walk off the stage just as spent as you ever are.
Right.
But the muscle memory allows you to perform. And I hate to say it that way, perform, but it really is in a lot of ways just a performance that you're able to call upon for that time.
Yeah. I think it's, again, I think it's what we see in some major church leaders or large church, mega church pastors, that their moral failure was years in the making. It's not a one decision one day. And I think that through prayers and your willingness to listen, you were able to step away before anything went south. Do you know what I mean? Like before any sort of dependency on, any kind of chemical, drugs, alcohol, whatever, gambling, I don't know, pick your vice. But that's exactly it, right? Like that's what happens. And I think that church leadership really, really in today's world really need to be aware of their pastors, what they're really going through, both spiritually and emotionally. The church that my dad pastored, like capital C, like how the church was 30, 40, 50 years ago, is not the church today. Even if the church only has 30 or 40 people.
Right.
30, 40, 300, 400, 3,000, 4,000. I don't know that it really matters. The demands are different and a lot.
I think somebody made the comparison that a modern church pastor is the CEO of an organization who has to prepare a keynote speech every week.
Right.
A different keynote speech every week.
Right.
It's kind of the responsibility, in that weight, do or undo, falls on him or her that leads the organization.
Yeah.
And there's a weight for the organization, then there's the spiritual weight of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are pressing.
Yeah.
I think I wish I could say with 100% or whatever data I would want to make up in this moment that pastors do not fight insecurity, but we fight it probably more than anybody else. Mm-hmm. We fight the fake it till you make it. We get up there, and as soon as we get off the podium or the pulpit or the platform, there are doubts that creep into our minds of, did we do it well enough? Did we really say what God wanted us to say? It's such a heavy responsibility. And maybe it's not every pastor. Maybe there's some who walk off the stage and know they hit a home run and they said everything God had for them to say. But I don't know that many. Mondays are hard for pastors.
Yeah, it's true. And I think you mentioned it. I think it is way more spiritual than most want to believe.
Yeah.
We've talked about in terms of our kids and like social media. When we were teenagers or kids, if we had a bad day at school, I could come home from school and I could opt to not interact with anybody until I had to go back to school the next day. That's not true for our kids, right? Because of the access of text and social media and all those kind of things. And it certainly isn't true for church leadership. They're constantly accessible to people and people's thoughts, opinions, and comments, good, bad, or indifferent. They're constantly accessible. And that's one aspect, I think, of the burden of modern pastoring. But I think there is a specific spiritual thing of pastors that when you begin to step into space of really wanting to make a difference and not just manage the congregation you have, I think there's a spiritual element to that puts a target on a lot of pastors. Maybe not all, but a lot.
Yeah. So how did we navigate the year and a half? I mentioned it. I preached once.
Mm-hmm.
I would have probably said yes to 90% of the invitations had they come.
You say 90. I think that's funny. You just said yes to anybody.
There might have been one or two I turned down, depending on where they were.
I'm not sure, but okay.
The only thing ministry related I think I did during that stretch, I taught about 5 weeks of a Bible study at the church we're attending now.
Yes.
Even that I was uncertain of. There were things week to week I was like, I'm not sure what I'm going to say. Even with study and preparation, and that sounds crazy that even at that point it was probably 7-8 months into it.
Yeah.
I was still not at a healthy place. And so I think part of the process for me, I remember, I think you posted or I posted or we shared it one, I think it was last spring. I finally put on my shoes and decided to go for a run.
Yeah.
And that was a huge marker because the weight and the discouragement and the hardship and whatever else had just been where I couldn't even choose to go exercise or run. The lack of clarity and the mental fog was so cloudy. So for us, it was a long season of sitting.
Right.
It was having one space that was safe to talk to.
Right.
A couple that's in our church and we've known for a while now and have navigated some ministry hardship themselves. It was probably, I wish, looking back, reflective, I had got active earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a benefit. Knowing what I know now about the brain, knowing what I know now about body chemistry and all those things, I think the brain fog would have lifted if I could have consistently got active earlier. And there was just a measure of time that had to pass.
Well, that's why I don't believe that time heals all wounds, but time sure does help.
Yeah.
You know, it helps. It helps the healing process. Healing takes time. I think the crazy thing about it is that, and we've compared it a couple of times, like an athlete, right? They have a season-ending injury, and they're benched for a little while. When the surgery is over or whatever, I've seen it in numerous kids that I work with. When that part is over, they're ready to go again. They're ready to run. They're ready to play basketball. They're ready to play lacrosse, whatever it is, because they think they're okay because the injury is better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to take the brace off. I don't need that anymore. I'm going to go, start exercising and doing all these things. And probably 10 out of 10, but I'll just say 9 out of 10 times, they end up either re-injuring that same thing or injuring another body part because they're compensating for what they don't allow the healing to go for on whatever they hurt. So they'll hurt the other foot or they'll hurt the other hip or the other arm or whatever it is because they just don't allow enough time to really heal and re-strengthen. And I think that was our thing for last year, was to just get stronger.
Yeah, I mean, like most people, we set goals or we set New Year's resolutions or things like that, and we talked about it in 2025, and oftentimes we had a word of the year, and sometimes those words led us in I'd say prophetic ways, both good and bad. But I think one of the goals for last year, and the primary goal last year, was how do we get stronger, and physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because we knew we had to, coming out of where we were, and to go forward, we knew that was required. Like
Right.
sure, we sat like and this is more a conversation about calling. I just don't think the calling ever leaves. It may
Right.
look different and it may be executed differently, but it wasn't that the calling ever quit on us or we quit on the calling. We knew that God was going to ask us to do something going forward at some point. We know that that's still where we're being led by the Lord. And for us to walk into that and to get to that next season, it really was an idea of having to be stronger.
Yes.
And stronger is a comparative word, not necessarily stronger than where we were during the collectives, but stronger than where we were post that when we felt like I felt the world had collapsed underneath me.
Well, I think it's also, it's maybe a sign, but also a product of burnout is, again, it's an insecurity piece, but, what's it, the song, You're So Vain. You think this song is about you. You think everything is a personal affront. And that is the middle of burnout. You think that everything is about you, good or bad. Like, if somebody makes a decision for something, it's because they don't like you. It's because, it's just crazy what the brain says.
It's not even decisions. You could be at a restaurant and not get enough tortilla chips, and it's about you.
Why don't they like me?
It is.
Why is Marvin mad at me?
The brain chemistry starts to just play tricks on you. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you burnt my chicken on purpose.
Right.
It in the middle is the big bulk. Like, you talk middle, it's not. There's the beginning and the ending, and the middle's the rest of it.
Right. Even when sort of the healing process had begun, we had given the responsibilities of the church. We had benched ourselves. It was right and it was necessary and all of those things. And then, like you mentioned, the other opportunity didn't work out, which that was like daggers, because again, in the middle of that hurt of burnout, it felt personal when it really wasn't personal. But everything feels personal. And every time somebody else wins, it became, why are they winning and I'm not?
Yeah. Why do I? It was a feeling like God had forgotten me.
Yes. Because it is so spiritual. It is. I don't think anybody would probably label him this way, but I think there are points in the life of David that you could go and look at the Psalms and go, yeah, he was on the struggle bus with some emotions and mental issues, that what we call now, we label as burnout or whatever. Emotional breakdowns happen. All of that happens sort of in conjunction. And based on how he wrote some of those Psalms, you go, yeah, he gets it. Where are you? Where have you, where have you gone? What's happened? And everything feels like people are after you, and that every turn you're just waiting for something else bad to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Every day. You don't go to the mailbox because there's bad news. You don't pick up your phone because it's bad news. You don't whatever. Like, you are just waiting for the worst. And again, I think it is time. Time does help do some of the work. I think there's work to be done with counselors. Again, I have a counselor. Don't see him as often as I need to. And we have a couple we spend time with mentioned that is good godly counsel as well. There's responsibility on the part of the person who has the burnout to do some work, to do some mental, emotional work, to reframe and go, yeah, the burnt chicken's not about me. Somebody else is having a bad day.
And that is also the responsibility of the person walking alongside.
Yeah.
Is to go, it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Like, this really isn't a personal affront. This really isn't about you. This really isn't because so-and-so doesn't like you. This really isn't that. Because as the other person, you have to bring, no offense, you have to bring some common sense.
Yeah, because there's no common sense in burnout.
No.
It's lost.
Yes. Yes.
You will do whimsical, dumb things on both sides of it.
Right.
To make yourself feel better. I think one of the things that happens that I've seen is wild spending and purchases.
Yes.
In hopes that whatever you do or did makes you feel better. And it will for a moment.
Yeah.
Or you talked about the other side. The far side is the immorality.
Right.
Is the mishandling of money or the misjudgments in moral things or addictions or getting into vices in hopes that it numbs the pain.
Yeah.
So you're on this pendulum sometimes of I need something to numb me, or I need the tiniest little endorphin boost to make me feel something other than the pain and the dullness of the burnout.
Yeah. Because it is, dull is a good word. It is just, everything is dull. Nothing, even I think for you, down to your famous statement when we know you're not well, is I don't care. And in truth, there are some things you don't really care about. You don't have a lot of preference on certain things. But when your response is I don't care, it's not really that you don't care.
Right.
What's really behind the I don't care, or it doesn't matter.
I don't think you care about my opinion.
Because nobody does.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Nobody cares about my thoughts or feelings.
Yeah.
So why would I share them?
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. That's fine. Whatever.
So that's personality.
Yeah.
As an Enneagram 2. So my burnout presented in a lot of withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Other people's presents in anger or whatever. Mine was very withdrawal based. Like I it was like living in black and white. If you've ever watched a black and white TV show, my world was that for probably 9 to 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
There was no color. Shades of gray is all there was. Because you do live in this like numb, because you don't want to necessarily feel the disappointment and pain of whatever it was.
Right.
And so I withdrew and numbed most of my world until something pressed on the pain point, and it was like a fire hose of it coming out of my soul and my mouth. Mm-hmm. And so I had to process and get to a point of going, Jeff, you don't have to say everything to everybody. They don't care.
They don't need to know.
They don't need to know. They don't need to know the whole business of everything.
Sure, they mean it when they ask how you are, but they really don't need to know all of the details.
They don't need that. They weren't asking about that. So there was this like weird spectrum of like, I'm not telling anything to everybody, then I'm telling everything to everybody. And there wasn't a healthy sort of response mechanism in me that allowed me to process. And I wish I maybe should have done a better job journaling or documenting the journey. And I didn't just wake up one morning and go, I'm magically better.
Oh gosh, no.
It was a process. There were days that I was better and days that it wasn't better. And
I mean, I think like any healing process, the stretches became longer between bad bouts. So I think that it is like physical healing, right? Even though it's emotional, it is like physical in the timeline. And there's still, things like that. So I want to kind of think through, because we can talk about the after, but in the after and looking at the healing, looking back, do you think there's anything that could have been done to prevent it?
Oh gosh. I'm sure there is. I think asking for help earlier would have at least slowed it down. And probably when the signs of it showed up, which were the fatigue that couldn't be overcome with sleep, the indecision, the just overall like the I don't cares, when you quit caring about the things you're supposed to care about that really you do care about. I think being aware of that and asking for help earlier from people who could give me support and then good counseling. Like,
Yeah.
I think you get into avoidance mode.
Yeah.
And so I think you got to watch for the signs if you're facing burnout. Like, it's not, again, it's not a tired of like, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Like, we don't have babies anymore. We have a dog that stays in our room and in our bed. And if he doesn't sleep well, we don't sleep well. And then the next day's tired or something, and we have more caffeine than normal.
Right.
It's not that.
Right.
It's when you've slept 8 hours and you wake up still exhausted, and when your brain is in a complete just fuzz and fog, and where it feels like somebody took gasoline and poured it on your soul and lit a match. And it's just, and everything inside of you feels unsettled always.
Always.
So I think you got to watch for the signs and then recognize them, and don't let the voice of shame tell you that nobody cares and nobody wants to help you.
That's what I think, that an admission or a vulnerability early in the feelings. Like, if you don't have a trusted friend, Barnabas, in your life that is walking same path, same direction, same speed, essentially, outside of your marriage.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't have that, you need a professional counselor. Because I think sometimes good friends who are also, I would say, Bible believing people, they can be a really good sounding board, and can say back to you, do you really feel that way? Is that really the truth? What's happening here? Like a good counselor will. Is that really true? Is that really
right
what's happening? Because if you're closed off to anybody else in your life offering any advice or wisdom who have been trusted previously,
right
that to me is probably your biggest sign that things are going bad, and they're going bad quickly.
Yeah, you become deaf almost.
Right.
To the voices of wisdom.
Yes. Because you lack vulnerability.
Right.
You lack authenticity, because you begin to create a facade. And we've been around other people who have experienced this in different settings even. I've seen it, and it becomes where you're angry at random people, and you start to not trust people, and it when you stop trusting people who had been on your side without reason, another sign, right? Like, those are big components that all are small in some ways, but they add up to be exponential.
Yeah, and I think sometimes even good leaders who are going through burnout can make a circumstance or situation justified why they did something.
Oh, agreed.
Like why they fired somebody, or why they demoted them, or why they moved them from one position to the other, and have good reasoning. But if you peel the layers completely back, it is a circumstance of the burnout,
right,
of that fueled insecurity, or fueled the self-protective shell that you put up.
Yeah.
And again, in the arena of leadership, man, major leadership decisions get made sometimes that may seem okay, but you peel them back and they are self-driven.
Right.
They're not organization-driven.
Yes.
They're not mission-driven.
Vision, right.
They are self-driven, self-protective. I'm making this decision out of shame, out of fear, out of whatever, and with somebody else's life, or with money, or with for maybe ministry, within the church, that is just really about me.
Yeah.
And that's dangerous.
Oh, I agree. And I think that you can catch it early and you can work through it. But once you're sort of full on in it, it does take the time like we've had. And it takes time, and there is a certain amount of, I hate to say good withdrawal, but you do kind of have to pull away.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important as well.
Yeah, I think Karen Newhoff, who talks very openly about burnout and has often from a leadership standpoint, he said I think it took him 3 years.
Yeah.
We're knocking on the door of a year and a half, and using that athlete sort of metaphor you used, I'm just now getting to where I'm picking the pace back up.
Right.
I don't know that I could run like I did 45 years ago right now, but I'm just back to where I'm running.
Right.
And so I think there is a lengthy process of soul restoration that has to happen. I don't think a summer sabbatical fixes it. It can help it.
Yeah. It can be more preventative.
Right.
If you are doing that as practice before the bad hits.
100%.
But not as a recovery.
Yeah. No, if you're full blown in burnout, it's going to be a year, 2 years.
Yeah.
I just think it is. I think many of our friends in ministry who suffer burnout leave one situation, take 3 to 4 weeks off, and are jumping into the next thing. And because this is the worst part, because they have to pay bills.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's your
you
livelihood.
have to make money.
Yeah, it's your livelihood.
And I think that's the part, like, I want to say we had the luxury of a year off because it's not like somebody funded us for a year to sit out.
I mean, we would be willing for that.
Again, pay for the cruise. But I got a job at Lee in student success, working somewhat directly with students. I had some other opportunities to do some things. And we were able to kind of move ministry adjacent and pay for life and really turn down the volume on the week to week roles of things I had at the church.
Yeah, it's not devastating if we miss a Sunday.
No, we missed several.
Right.
I don't think we went to church for a month.
I think it was
the
6
Catholic
weeks.
Mass in the Dominican Republic.
We did go to Mass in the Dominican,
which was super fun.
It was. That was great. But I think it was 6 weeks. I think from the time our last Sunday at the collectives to, because it was Father's Day.
It was Father's Day.
The kids asked us to go. And even that felt
early.
Yeah, it did. And we were both pretty emotional about even just stepping foot in a church.
Yeah.
And it was, I won't lie, it was a lot and I didn't like it.
Right. I didn't raise my hands. I didn't do any of the things. It was a fine Sunday.
Right.
But the fatigue was still overwhelming. And you just go in and try to get out.
Right.
Now, God spoke many times in those really early kind of Sundays. We had gone back to a church that had been kind of a home church, and our spiritual mentor and father is there. Spiritual father, not my father, or your father. And there was just a Sunday the Lord prompted him, and he came and sat next to me, put his arm around me like a dad does, and just spiritually encouraged me, and I wept. And if we're being really truthful, I think it was the first time I'd cried probably in 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Because I just numbed everything.
Yeah.
And so it was process. It was baby steps. It was small wins, and there were setbacks. And it took a really long time. In honest reflection, is Sunday, January 25th that we're recording this. Thursday this week was the first time I preached. And I've had some other speaking opportunities, and I taught a class at Lee and some of those things, but like to actual preach, like where the gifting and my soul kind of meet. since that September.
Right.
And I was scared. Not because it was new, but because it had been a stretch.
Right.
And I didn't know if I was ready.
Right.
Now God helps us, and I thought it went great, and I hope it helps somebody. And I'm anxious to do it again because it's what I love to do, it's what I'm gifted to do. But a year and a half, I was like asking myself, "Am I ready for this assignment?"
Mm-hmm.
Now, up to other people, I was probably going, "Yeah, we got this." Inside, I'm going, "I hope so." I hope the recovery's taking place completely or enough to move forward. And again, I think for our story, I would say we're on the other side of it. And I don't know that we're completely past it, but I think we're definitively on the other side of it.
Right. I agree.
Which is a testimony to God, because I don't know. We got some friends I don't know that ever get past it.
Right. No, I don't know. I don't know that we've known several. And I think part of it is that we did take the time. And I think we did detach from certain responsibilities and leading things, for the most part. But I think detaching from the right things, or the wrong things, whatever you want to put on that, frame that, but staying connected to the important things.
Mm-hmm.
So staying connected to each other.
100%.
So we, we kept our pattern of Saturday morning connection of coffee together,
Mm-hmm.
our monthly out date nights, even when your go-to was, I don't care, it doesn't matter. We still are like, okay, let's do this.
Well, I think we got more intentional about that too.
I agree. We did. We put that as a priority to kind of just the two of us kind of escape. And I think that is a really important factor in all of this. And I think that allowing the good and right voices to continue to speak into our life was probably one of the most valuable things that we did.
Yeah.
The 3 or 4 who really know us and got what we had walked through, keeping those voices, allowing them to continue to have access.
Well, I think the other thing that we didn't ask for, but we got, is we had a security guard. We had a spiritual security guard, in the sense of we had a friend who said no for us.
Yes. Not yet.
Not
Not
people
yet.
would come to him and be like, "What do you think about Jeff doing it?" And he'd go, "Nope, don't touch him.
Not yet.
Don't touch him. You can't talk to him yet about that."
And I think that one of his statements to us was probably the most telling. And it was, I care more about you being healthy and whole than I care about you doing what you're called to do.
Yeah.
Those are the people you put in your life.
Yeah, the outcome that he wanted most was not a new, wanted me to have a better message from a pulpit. It was that my life was still put together. I mean, because again, he's somebody who's walked through his own burnout and struggle. He knew you could perform broken.
Right.
But his statement to us was like, "I would rather you not be broken."
Right.
And then you move back into what God's called you to do.
Right.
And that was immensely valuable. Somebody saying no on our behalf.
Right.
Because again, I wouldn't have, if somebody had called in the midst of it all, I would have said yes and just limped my way through it.
Right.
Thinking I was okay and pretending I was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that's a high trust role for to have somebody go, "Hey, say no for me."
Right.
And I didn't even invite that. It just was, as a friend, he took it upon himself.
Right. Who understood. And I think that that's the thing. And on this side of it, I was burned out, but not to the place, because I saw it before you saw it. Before you were willing to admit it, and I started pulling back. Even when we were still at the church, I started pulling back on what I was doing, what was happening, because I knew I couldn't do it and handle the fallout that was inevitably coming.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for those walking alongside somebody who's experiencing it, is you kind of have to take on this. It's gonna fall out. We're gonna fall apart, and got to have the right soft landing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it was too soft, but it was better than it probably could have been.
Yeah, soft is. It wasn't soft. But I think to your earlier point, like there was a lot of really hard conversations you and I had.
Yes.
And checkpoints in our marriage to just remind one another that we weren't the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
That we were still in it together.
Right.
That frustrations that we did have were not marital frustrations, but they were circumstantial to life and to the things we'd walk through, and a reminder that we'd walk through them together. Like I wasn't walking through something that was just me. We had both experienced heartbreak and hurt, and though you don't experience it mirrored, right? But you don't experience it in isolation either.
Right.
And so I think, again, early on, a lot of our conversations were just us complaining on hours on end about things. But there was a lot of checkpoints also of just going like, yeah, it's still me and you. We're still in this together. We are not quitting on us and the marriage and our family. And nor does this circumstance create something that should create a division between us.
Right.
And I think that's for our friends who might be walking through it or will experience it. Like, if you have to walk away from ministry to save your marriage, do it.
Do it. Yeah.
Like that is my wisdom on that. If you have to leave the church, do it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to back out, do it. Like because at the end of the day, your family and family life and family structure is way more important than keeping on preaching and trying to survive a pulpit and people. Those people come and leave. Your kids and your wife or husband, they're the ride or dies.
Yeah. And that's what I think. You don't believe the lie. There won't be other opportunities. This is not your only shot at ever doing this thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I think callings remain, but I think how they get executed looks differently. I think the calling will always still be in you. It's still in us. God is, I think, working us now in some new and recreating some things and reshaping things. It's an easy lie to buy into.
Right.
That if I walk away from this, the calling's done.
Everything's over. It's all done.
And I would say, what if it is?
Right.
I don't think it's worth the cost of your family.
Right.
I don't think your kids' salvation, and I'll put it that far, is should be at risk because you want to stay in a church. Because the harm and the hurt that comes not just in the burnout of the person, peripherally to families, it can be immensely detrimental.
Right.
We not even touched on that, but
no.
And again, our kids did not face a lot of that. God spared them. But I think you got to see the signs early on both sides of it. If you're the spouse walking with them, do your best to sound the alarm.
Yes.
Recruit help. And if you're the one walking through it, just know that it's going to take some time to heal.
Yeah. And it's okay to pull an intervention.
Yeah.
And go, I brought 3 people with me. We all see the same thing. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah, and you may have to force their hand.
Right.
Because indecision is going to be primary.
Right. But what about?
And that's where we got. Like, if we're being honest, like, we had to have some hard conversations where, like, it was like, we have to make a decision by this date.
Yes, we set a timeline for ourselves.
You have to make this phone call.
Yeah.
And so I think that's critical. I think making difficult decisions are the starting point of healing. If you have, if you want to try to survive it in your church, you're going to need to have a conversation with your board.
Yeah.
And tell them, this is where I'm at. This is what I need. And let them make a decision with you. Right. Whether you get 3 months or 6 months off to just start the healing process. But I just know too much to say you can't do it staying in a weekly rhythm.
No.
Of where you were.
No. No, because it's not fair to you. And this is where we got. And I could put dates on it in my mind because there's certain dates that stick out. But it's not fair to you. It's not fair to the people in your congregation. And I remember getting to that point of going, the people in our charge or our care deserve better than we're able to give them right now in leading them. The people with us on our who were leading with us, they deserve better. Yeah. Because I mean, whether we were going to have pizza or a taco bar at the Super Bowl party was debilitating.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds funny, but like that's the kind of stuff that it gets down to, like that kind of like nitty gritty, and you're like, this is not a life ending decision, but you couldn't make it,
right?
Or wouldn't make it. Yeah. Like
no, it's true.
But it becomes a disservice to the people in your care. Yeah. To continue to try and lead, and it's just, yeah, it was. And that's where we got several months before, and I was like, we got to do something because this isn't okay. Yeah. And it's hard again, it's hard on this side to not be the main person who's experiencing it, but experiencing your own version of it, but to be the one who has to go, yeah, I'm calling it. Whether you like it or not, I'm going to call it. Right. And going, this is what we're going to do. This is how this is going to go down. This is how this is going to happen. Which it wasn't, I mean, you can say if it was, but I don't think it was an overstep. It was a necessity.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would have stayed till there was nobody left.
100%.
Until there was nothing left of me.
100%.
Because there are voices that say you're failing or whatever else. There's narratives that are being played out in your mind, and so I think I would have just endured till death do us part in some form or fashion. Yeah. And that's not healthy. No. And I know we already did one on the end of the collectives, but the truth, and I think we said it, is we thought it was going to be taken over and not killed. Yeah. So it was, I think our decision may have looked different had we thought, oh, if we walk away, it is over. I think we would have done it differently. Maybe. Maybe, yeah. Maybe an even harder to leave.
It may have made it harder to leave. It may have been where we go, okay, we're not going to leave. We are going to take a sabbatical. Or do you know what I mean? I think, but we left because we thought we were able to hand it over and not just die. Right. And so again, that outcome did not help the burnout, because then it became like an added layer.
Yeah.
Of hurt.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I wish I had processed better is the outcomes after you leave are outside your control.
Absolutely.
And you can't be invested in them.
No.
Um,
If you can't leave town, which we could not, you need to completely remove yourself.
yeah.
Because the pain for you and for the others involved is too much.
Right. Yeah.
If you can leave town, you should leave town. But we did not have that luxury.
We had kids still in school
Yeah.
and things going on. We couldn't exactly leave town.
Yeah.
But we distanced ourselves from it.
Right.
And even from some of the people, like for a season, because it was just challenging. Which was, again, out of love for them.
Right.
Because we couldn't pastor them where we were.
Right.
I couldn't pastor them.
Right.
From where I was. So, I think it's important. So, for us, I think, to put a bow on the conversation, we are, I don't know that we're at full strength. I think
not
we're
full, probably, but getting there.
I think we're at a place of health, a place where our relationship is strong, and I don't think it ever really hit too much of a hiccup, but our relationship with the Lord is strong because there were seasons that me and Jesus weren't on real good talking terms.
Yeah.
That our relationship with the church, in the sense of like being able to tend and serve, is renewed.
Yeah, for sure.
And the calling is renewed in some ways. And I think for us, that's been the journey. I know it doesn't look like that for everybody.
Right.
But for us, I think that's been how the health has revealed itself. And so for some, it may mean never going back to ministry.
Right.
That your vocation looks different. I hope for most, it means that the marriage stays intact.
Right.
That ministry burnout doesn't cost you your family.
Exactly.
And so if I was...
Or your soul.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was sounding the alarm for anybody who's listening, like, be aware of the symptoms and pull the parachute cord early.
Yes.
Because it's going to cost you more in the long run if you don't.
100%. Yeah.
And to kind of, again, to wrap this up, after burnout, there's still life.
Yeah.
And so I think we end there. We'll see you next time. Wow, what a great conversation that was. Thanks for joining us in the conversation. If something from the conversation really stood out to you, would you share it and tag me on social media at Jeff_Pitts_ on Instagram? And we would love it if you would rate and review and subscribe to the show. That just helps us reach more people with these great conversations. And as we always say, you've got a seat at the table. Thanks for joining the conversation.